Let's take a look at the money going to schools in England and how that's changed since the Conservatives came to power 12 years ago. The amount of cash spent per pupil back in 2010 was just over £5,000. There's the figure. Since then, it's gone up by 35% to just under £7,000. That's a big rise in cash terms, but of course we have to factor in inflation since then. And when we do that, it turns out that the funding per pupil has actually gone up by just 6.4% over the last 12 years. Now, these figures were published by the government before the summer. And of course, we've been reporting for months now about double-digit inflation. So it isn't hard to see why schools are struggling to pay their staff and keep the heating and the lights on. To discuss this and how it's affecting many schools, we're joined by Simon Kidwell, a head teacher himself and Vice President of the National Association of Head Teachers. Really good to talk to you. I'm sure those figures mean an awful lot to you and to many other teachers and head teachers who are watching us tonight. Give us an idea of some of the measures you're having to put in place because of the financial pressure on you at the moment.
Well, we've got a financial black hole now in our budget. When I set the budget back in April, we were looking at balancing to be able to pay all the staff. And now we've got an £85,000 shortfall. So that means 2 teachers or 4 teaching assistants. And where do we cut? Is it the teaching assistant that goes and changes the toilet trains the youngest children? Is it a teaching assistant that works with the special needs? Is it a class teacher who works with special needs children? So we're really struggling in knowing where to cut. And what we're going to have to do this year, Dan, is to make sure that we pay all the staff and we go and we can't go ahead with the toilet refurbishment that we've been planning to do for a number of years.
So you're obviously having to cut your cloth accordingly. I mean, how far off sort of struggling to be financially viable are you?
Well, we are £85,000. So, I mean, if you look across the school system, that's about £2 billion. We were financially viable when we went back to May, but what we didn't plan for was the unfunded pay rises and the increase in energy, which we had predicted. We doubled our energy costs, but this 85,000 black hole in our school budget has been caused by unfunded pay rises, both for teachers and for teaching assistants, who've quite rightly got a pay offer, which in most cases in our school is above 10%.
And how's that affecting morale at the school? Can you give us an indication, maybe the staff that you're talking to, those teaching assistants who are maybe worried about the future of their profession?
They're not just worried about the future of the profession and the future within schools. They're actually looking at other means of employment, because teaching assistants can be paid more working in other organisations. We've got a teaching assistant who handed in a resignation this week because she'll earn more at Costa Coffee than working with young people. She doesn't want to leave, but those financial pressures are too much because teaching assistants are only paid for 39 weeks of the year.
Yeah, that's a pretty stark example, isn't it? And what about the standard of education? Because that obviously, that is what you are in the business of. You're trying to give the children at your school the best quality of education, and you're obviously having to make financial changes while trying to maintain that quality.
Absolutely. And one of the things we could look at is increasing class sizes. So currently, most classes in the UK are limited to about 30 because of the size of the classes. We could potentially go and increase our class sizes to 34 from children aged 7 to 11, but we know they'd be pretty crammed into those small classroom spaces, and it would impact on the quality of education if we did start going over 30. But that's one thing we will have to consider.
You say teaching assistants are taking, jobs. You mentioned there was someone who's gone to Costa Coffee to get better wages. Are you having those same conversations with teachers? Maybe you've thought about that yourself as well. Not necessarily going to a coffee shop, but changing profession. Is it getting that desperate?
Not on our staff, but I know teachers who are leaving the profession. I also know of teachers who are retiring early as well, because they, especially school leaders, and many school leaders that I know are retiring early because they're finding they just can't make ends meet in the school, and they can't see a way out of this financial crisis that we're in.
Simon, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. That's Simon Kidwell, who is the Vice President of the National Association of Head Teachers, joining us live on 5 News tonight.